Yeah, it's been a long time off the water. We've had, between the both of us, work, family, weather, COVID, and more shit weather, and then more shit weather again after that. So we got to the point where we just said, who cares, it's stormy, it's crap, but when some of these storms roll through, let's just like push out and get it done. But it was wet and it was rough, and in standard back at the ramp fashion, we didn't have all the auto gear and camera gear set up, and I've gone and probably pumped the biggest squid of the day. So we only got the tail end of it. Look at the size of this thing. That is going to be my new PB squid, I think. We might have missed the start of that eat there, unfortunately, because we just pulled up. We'll get the camera gear set up, and I quickly flicked this little duo out the back, and straight away this massive fella jumped on it. And yeah, there was another really big one with it too, trying to eat it out of its mouth. So it's good to see that there's a few really big squid around, so should be in for a little red hot session, I think. Oh no, it's only a 30. Just huge. So I just tied on this new duo, and it's perfect for what we're doing here because it's got quite a large amount of weight for a squid jig. The country that we're fishing here is very widespread. There's a lot of weed for like a lot of miles. So sometimes you're just got to throw a couple of these out the back, troll along as slow as you possibly can. And then when you get onto a little patch, you pull up and start casting. So yeah, let's get into it. Oh, looks like a good one too. Okay. We're just trolling along then, moving back up after that last big one, and we've hooked onto another one here, but we're kind of lucky at the minute because all morning it's been absolutely pouring rain. We had the most rubbish run over here, but I mean the good side of that was we pulled up a little rock with some ripping current and did a bit of top water fishing for a little bit and got some incredible queenie action. So that was pretty cool. Something to start the day, warm you up. And now we're into a few squid. And that's just trolling along in 2.5 meters of water, as slow as we can possibly go. It's that easy. Nice little bit of sun starting to come out, it'll probably work in our favour. Can actually start to see the bottom a bit more now and the little weed patches, so while we're trolling around trying to find them, it works well because you can sort of see your dark little nice weed spots and keep adjusting your troll to go over the top of them. So normally it doesn't take too long when you're in the right area. Go. Looks like we've got another nice little tiger squid here, and that's what we're chasing here in the Pilbara. Well, you do get a couple of other species, but generally this time of year this is your main one. It's a tiger. It's quite a big bag limit on them, but the life cycle of one of these squids it's quite quick. And there's another one on him too. Yeah, it's quite fast. They can live from only a year up to generally about a max of about 3. Not a huge one by any means, especially compared to some of the others that we've caught this morning already, but I mean, probably one of the best eating things in the ocean nonetheless. They seem to be like, turn on a bit now, eh? Yeah, maybe. Yep. There he is. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where you can kind of troll until you find your little zones. And once you find a bit of a spot where there's a few hanging, you can sort of just drift through then cast. You don't have to, you can keep trolling because it all works, but I personally like getting them on the cast. So we're just drifting over these little isolated patches of weed. Oh yeah, there's one. And I'm just jigging this Duo squid jig up off the bottom, doing quite an aggressive jig. That's personally just what I like, and really no other reason apart from I feel like when you lift it up aggressively, if one is on it, it kind of hooks it. And yeah, slowly drifting over the weed beds and working it up off the bottom. Quick whip, let it sink. Another whip, let it sink. Very simple style of fishing, but very effective at this time of year, these tiger squid. It's a beautiful little squid here, and you know, not a big one by all means, but but unreal eating. I mean, you can't go past it. So this one might be dinner. So we're only in about anywhere from 3 to sort of 2 meters of water here. Same thing, just on the nice little weed beds. Bits of rocking at around too, but they love these weed beds because that's what they breed on essentially, and they drop their eggs on. They tie them into the bottom on a bit of weed. Oh, there's one. Oh, this could be a good one. Yeah, they lay their eggs on the bottom in the weed, and they just hang on there until they're ready to hatch. So this is perfect country here. You can get them a lot deeper, depending on where you are in Australia, I guess, but for here around the Pilbara region, we always find that sort of 1 to 3 meters seems to be the nice country, especially if you're running like a lighter squid jig and whatnot. Whoa, wow. That could have been a lot worse. I think I got lucky out of that one. This is probably the only downside of having really nice decking on your boat. Although it cleans off reasonably easy, and actually this stuff is about 4 years old now. If you just get onto it now, it's easy. You basically got no cleaning when you get home, but it is the downside of having a nice bit of flooring on your boat, especially if you want to look after it. We're just moving back up. We've just done a real long drift there, and we're using this like light bit of breeze to our advantage, going right up one end, let it blow us parallel to the island, and yeah, just doing drifts, going up, working our way back, just hopping it up off the bottom and covering a bit of ground. We're pretty lucky here in the Pilbara region because the chain of islands we have here on our doorstep are pretty unreal. There's a lot of big islands, which obviously makes for a lot of current lines and, you know, a big variety of species and different things that you can do. Like, so on the way over, which we weren't planning on doing, but Maddie snuck in a cheeky little casting rod, and we went past a little set of rocks with a lot of current on it, and obviously couldn't help ourselves being fishermen. We had to throw one in, and the queenies were just on. Like, it didn't matter where you cast it or what you did, they were pack attacking everywhere. So yeah, good little way to break up the trip from getting rained on all morning, and it wasn't too rough actually, but yeah, just something different, stretch the arms, warm us up. I'm just running a little old school 1000 FE Stella, bit of 4-pound braid. I'm only running a 20-pound leader. You don't need to fish anything heavy for these guys. Nice light rod, 1 to 3 kilo rod. Just helps hold those little barbs in when they do their little runs. Anything too stiff, you can sometimes pull the little prongs out. So if Maddie just pans over to the sounder quickly, you'll see what I was talking about earlier when we're talking about the weed patches and weed and sand and rock. You can see the little bits of weed sitting up, I guess, higher off the bottom, and a bit of life and little fish life around them. So if you're fishing a poor visibility area or in a bit of depth where you're in 5 or 6 or 7 meters, that's basically what you're looking for in the sounder. They'll school up in there and do their thing. They use it to breed and for a bit of shelter and feed. So as long as you find that, if you just keep covering your ground by trolling or drifting and casting, you'll eventually find a little patch and you'll be on before you know it. That tide's come to a complete stop, and so have the squid. So might have to throw Matty in the piss, I reckon, and make him get me a cray or two for lunch while I sit up here and stay dry. We'll get back into the squid when the tide starts running in, I think. Get in there, get me lunch. 2 crays please, and a trout or a tusky.
It's not something you see in the footage here, guys, but the action cam mask just kept failing me. It was filling up with water every couple of seconds. So basically by this point, I've ditched the mask and I've just got an action cam pole, and I'm doing this with one hand, which anybody that's tried to catch crays one-handed will understand that it's no easy feat. So yeah, basically from this point on, it became an absolute mission, but we were just lucky that the water was crystal clear for Pilbara standards. The crays were out and about, and yeah, we got the job done.
What do you got there, Matty? That's all right, mate. We don't need to be big ones for a little lunch snack. Thanks, buddy. Ah, you legal? Nice one, mate. Alright, get back down to your pleb, get me another one.
Don't get us wrong, guys, it's not every day you drop in on copious amounts of crays like this. But when we do, we definitely make the most of it. The new moon period, when there's plenty of run in the tide, and generally when you get good water clarity like this, they seem to be out and about and scream grab me. So we definitely make the most of it when we get the opportunity, because they're such a special bit of seafood and such an amazing looking animal.
I reckon there's a good chance Matty's got his lunch now.
That's a nice one, mate.
Nice one, bro.
There's plenty to choose from down there, as per usual. So, yeah, a couple of drops here, bro.
Yep. Thank you, Matthew. Righto, back down you go. The beauty of living here in the Pilbara. When the tide gets slack, you just jump in, grab a few crays for lunch. Good chance Matty will probably shoot a little trout.
So this next drop was pretty special. I've had a look around for a couple of trout, saw some legal ones, but nothing too special. Just around the front of this ledge, I saw a head poke out, and I've come around the top to try not spook him. He's a really good sized trout for the inshore bombies here. And I was lucky enough to, even with one hand, put an absolutely perfect stone shot on that fish. There was not a single bit of movement in it from that shot. So really good way to, you know, take a beautiful fish like this. There was no suffering, and just one of the most delicious fish in the ocean in our opinion. We're so lucky here to have this caliber of fish right there on our doorstep, and you know, less than 5 meters of water. It's the sort of thing you can break anybody in with their spear fishing up here in the shallows, and everybody's going to do quite well. So I was really happy with this little fish around the 620 mark.
That's a nice one, mate. Ripper, mate. Beautiful work. Nice one. Good slap. You done well, mate. One more cray, we'll get out of here. Alright, deal.
One last cray, one last cast. The saying goes hand in hand, and it seems to be that whenever you say it, guys, you just come across these ledges like this one that was absolutely lit. There was I think I counted maybe 6 or 7 crays, and they were all big. So from this point, the luxury I had was not so much getting a couple of crays for lunch, but I was able to select those bigger crays out of the pack. And unfortunately for me, I've grabbed the only cray that was nestled up with a big urchin, and anybody that's been spiked by them will know it absolutely sucks.
Oh, that's fucking missed it. I've got urchin like a mother.
You do learn from your mistakes. So on this drop, I've gone in very gingerly and just caressed this cray out of his hole, which turned out to be the biggest for the day. And we really didn't need much more after this, guys. You know, 4 or 5 really good crays like this, that's lunch and dinner.
Yeah, one more. Shoot one of these big trout. We'll go. This is epic, man.
This next drop was a really good opportunity to show how many trout were out and about. They seem to be coming out of every single nook and cranny, and they weren't all big, guys. These ones we're looking at right now are around about that 500, maybe 530, 540 mark, but the crays just kept coming. It was ridiculous. And one of my favorite feeds is my wife's crayfish linguine. She does an absolutely amazing job, and look, it would just seem to be that day that we were going to get enough to make a big batch of linguine for the whole crew. You know, there's 3 families here that we need to feed, and none of these crays are going to go to waste, but they just seem to pop up from every single nook and cranny. It was a very, very special dive. Just here you'll see that the antennas are sticking out through the seaweed, and it's a really good way to narrow down your spots, guys. You don't have to dive down and look under every single ledge. You can eliminate a lot of guesswork from the top just by looking for the ends of the feelers. And then once you see a couple, you know you're bound to get a few crays. And that'll save you a lot of energy for your dives too. Every drop just seemed to get better and better. On this one, I've dropped straight in on this monster Chinaman. It was probably up around that 8 to 10 kilo mark. So the plan was to film him until I saw a very, very nice trout. Right there you can see me trying to pull the gun that was basically free floating behind me to shoot position. He has not moved. He sat very still. I put the spear in, decent shot, but didn't stone him. So you're about to see a clown show. I mean, I've got a camera in one hand, gun in the other, and I'm trying to pull this thing through the water. There is sharks everywhere in this spot. I've seen bull sharks, I've seen lemons, nurse sharks, and the second you give them an opportunity, wounded fish under a ledge, they clean them up straight away. So you just got to be quick. And somehow not a single shark turned up. I did not see one for the whole dive, which was very, very rare, assuming it's got something to do with the amazing water clarity. But this fish went a really nice 660. So that was our bag limit done for the trout. 2 licenses on board for trout and crays. We had an amazing feed. Got to remember how to do this, mate. I haven't fucking filmed in that long. Haven't hosted in a long time anyway. Well, a lot of mates, oh, fuck me. Well, a lot of my mates have been
Fucking not me, mate. You can speak for your other mates. Hold on, I'll stop.
Well, Stixy, the boys have been hanging it on me recently, and they've been saying, Matty, how the hell do you get by sitting behind the camera all day long while Stixy has the fun? Well, to answer that, boys, this is sort of what happens when I get a bit of time on the camera. Look, it's a tough life up here in the Pilbara, guys. It really is. But I've enjoyed recently, you know, giving all the limelight to a guy that deserves it. Stixy really deserves to be fishing and hosting this show. I enjoy the camera as much as ever right now. But look, I just spent half an hour in the water, bunch of crays. We're well within bag limits for all of it. We can have a couple of trout. So we've got 2 trout, 4 crays. I'll grab this guy, he just kicked away. They've woken up because they were cold in the esky. and they're not so cold anymore. So yeah, that's just a really quick swim, guys. And I'm gonna, obviously, I've told you in the voiceovers underwater what was going on. It was not an easy feat. You know, I've got a camera in one hand, spear gun in the other. Mask was filling up with water most of the time, but got the job done. So I'm happy, Stixy's happy, good food. I love life, I love the Pilbara.
Boy, that's a big one. Here we go. Wow. That's a big one. He's only just hooked on by his little grabbing tentacles. And all we were doing was just trolling along, trying to find where they might be sitting. Oh, he's a good one. Might get me a little net for this one. Oh. Oh. The wind's getting pretty savage right now, and it's getting late in the day, so we might call this fella it. We've had a red hot day, heaps of squid. Matty's got us a feed of crays, big trout. I mean, for a day that was pouring rain and very windy, and still come out and get this kind of quality of fish and squid, crays, is yeah, it's pretty unreal. We live in a pretty special part of the world. So yeah, we might call that it, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.